was Warren Buffett's first interview on TV. And it must have been in the mid 60s. It was conducted by a guy named Adam Smith. And Buffett said, I don't think of in buying stocks as buying pieces of paper because I think they'll go up next year. I think of buying stocks as buying a piece of a business. And I'm not going to sell it next year. And I don't care if it goes up next year. If it turns out I bought a piece of the right business, I'm going to make money in the long run. So it's very hard with companies that have no profits. And remember, back in the 20 years ago, it was, or 21 years ago, it was very easy to raise money for companies that had no sales. But now I think what you have to do, you have to think about what might it has sales today. What might the sales grow at? What's the size of the market? How much can it penetrate the market? And what share of the market will this company get? And then what might be the profitability? What could the profit margin be? And so forth. And the reason it has no earnings today is because they're spending a lot of money on acquiring clients and developing new products. If they did a little less of that, what might the profitability be in 10 years or 15 or 20 years ago? So you have to make those judgments. Now, you can't make them with precision or reliability, but you have to have some sense of the range. And if you can talk about what the profits might be in 15 years, you can kind of think about what you pay for that. If you can't, then there's no milestone to judge the price to pay. So I think you have to have some of that. Now, it's really interesting. Last April, I was scheduled to come to Toronto to participate in Prem Watts's growth value investing conference. Mm-hmm. And of course, it was canceled because it was the very front end of the pandemic. And I was starting to think about value investing to speak at that conference. And what would I say? And I was thinking about how value investing has evolved. But if a year ago I'd had that talk, what I might have said is, what are the characteristics of, quote, value investing, maybe with a capital V? You know, what is that theology? And what I would have said, I think, is, you know, basically mundane companies, not future innovators, with moderate growth, not the fast-growing high techs, with a high degree of predictability and stability, where the story is in the here and now, not some conjecture about the future, with high level of reinvestment of cash flow, I should say, with a good return on reinvested cash flow, but lots of free cash flow, and a low PE ratio. I think you're nodding. Do you agree? Okay, so that is classic capital V value investing. Right. But you know, if you think about what are the essential principles of value investing, which I enumerated at the beginning of page 2 of that memo, the essential characteristics are thinking about investing as owning a piece of a business, thinking about what it could produce in the future, and thinking about the fairness of the price relative to that potential value, and buying when the price is below the intrinsic value, but not buying when it's above. That's value investing. Doesn't say anything about having to have low earnings growth, having to avoid tech. You know, many people say tech and value are not, companionable, but it doesn't say that. Why can't, and what about low multiples? Why does value investing have to be buying mundane companies at low prices? Why can't it be buying good companies at what look like high prices today, but are going to be low tomorrow? And in fact, Buffett has changed his tune. You know, Buffett used to practice something that we call cigar butt investing, mm-hmm. and I'll return to that. Well, I won't return to it. Cigar butts investing is the belief that you can find cigar butts in the gutter with a few puffs left, and you can get them really inexpensively because they're in the gutter. And Buffett has talked about buying dollars for 50 cents. But Charlie Munger, his partner, leaned on him and convinced him over time to change his tune and stop going for cigar butts. And Buffett later said, I'm not that interested in buying fair companies at low prices. I want to buy great companies at fair prices. Mm-hmm. So Buffett does not, for a long time, he barred technology, but then he invested in Amazon and made a lot of money a couple of years ago, and made a lot of money in Coca-Cola, which was a growth company. Mm-hmm. So he's not insistent that value investing has to be about low growth and low multiples. Coke was not a cheap company.
Back in 1995, Microsoft generated around $1.5 billion in free cash flow. By 2005, that had grown to $15.7 billion. In 2015, it was $23.7 billion, and in 2025, Microsoft was generating a staggering $71.6 billion in free cash flow, nearly 48 times more than in 1995. Now imagine you are looking at Microsoft stock in 1995. The stock was trading at a PE of around 36, while the company was generating $1.5 billion in free cash flow. At first glance, a PE of 36 might look expensive. But here's the interesting part. If you could perfectly predict Microsoft's future cash flows, would a PE of 36 really been expensive? In hindsight, it would have looked dirt cheap. This table shows Microsoft's PE trend along with the incredible growth in its free cash flow. And this is why investing is ultimately about estimating what a business can produce in the future, not simply looking at what it is producing today. And we have discussed this many times. A high PE can sometimes be cheap if the company's future cash flows grow far beyond what the market expects. And low PE can actually be expensive if those free cash flows stagnate or decline. Since 1995, Microsoft free cash flows have increased roughly 48 times, while the stock price has increased more than 100 times. The difference comes from the market's ability to recognize and price in the enormous growth in the business. And this is what superior investors try to do. Look beyond today's numbers and develop a better understanding of what a business could look like years from now. Of course, predicting future cash flows with precision is incredibly difficult. Nobody can know the future with certainty. But that's also why superior investing isn't easy. You don't become a great investor by simply buying cheap stocks. You become one by getting better at understanding what a business can become.